How much of a factor do you think is going to play?
I don't think it plays a factor at all, because PSG is the same for PSG. They've all got European players, South American players, British players. It's the same sort of mix. The situation that will define it is that PSG keep the ball better. Chelsea will have to run around the pitch more. It's hot, so that'll make it harder for Chelsea. So that's how the heat will make an impact.
Ultimately, how do you see this going, Augie?
PSG win easily. We were saying before the way here that PSG played 3 European teams. 4-0, 2-0, 4-0. That's 10-0 on aggregate. I think Chelsea are going to be another one that loses quite heavily to PSG.
All right, well, Chelsea's saying all the right things before their big final, but Dan, it's going to be a massive uphill battle for them. But Reece James says he doesn't care about stats or previous forms from teams. They're just going to go out there and prepare themselves as best as they can for this task.
Thank you very much. By the way, Augie's written an article about the heat. And about what lessons, in fact, FIFA can learn looking ahead to the World Cup next summer.
You know, the more that you hear some players talk, the more the mind boggles, really. Sometimes you just think, you know, who's educating these players to press conferences these days? You know, take Reece James for an example. When he said, I mean, we're the most British people, you know, maybe British people, a lot of them come to the United States, they travel all over the world. But where do the majority of British people go for the summer holidays? They go to Europe. Mm-hmm. Reece James just sat there and said, well, you know, the temperatures over here, we're just not used to it because Europeans are not used to that. The British people go to Spain and they go to Italy.
But I suppose they don't go to play football. That's the thing, isn't it? They go there to the beach, they go to enjoy the heat. They're not used to...
He just said the Europeans are not used to this. We have Enzo Maresca, who's another one that's been whining about it, and he's not been the only one. He's Italian. When the Italian season kicks off in August, it'll be 90 degrees, as it will be in Spain, as it will be in Croatia, as it will be in most places in sort of Western Europe. In the summer, it gets damn hot in Western Europe. That's why most Brits take the 2-hour or 2.5-hour flight for their holidays there. And yet we have players and managers sitting saying Europeans are not used to the temperatures in America in the summer. I mean, what absolute drivel. The one thing that I think some of them are not used to, and it has been more prevalent this year, is the humidity. The humidity has been worse than the heat this year. I'll give you that. Yep. But please don't talk about Europeans not being used to the heat when all these Italians and Spanish and all these other countries kick off their season and it's 90 degrees in their country. It's utter stupidity and a silly statement.
I'm looking forward to reading that article.
Oh, good.
Because according to Augie, the players in the teams have learned some lessons about the heat.
Right.
Learn what?
Did he not mean FIFA?
You have to drink water.
What have you learned?
Drink water regularly.
You can't do anything, though, to prepare. I remember speaking to you when you were coaching the Revs.
The only thing you can do is make sure you keep the ball and take care of the ball.
Okay.
Because if you don't, as Augie said at the start of that, the reason PSG is going to beat Chelsea is because they're going to be taking care of the ball. And when you're the team running around in that heat, eventually, you flag.
You talked about this a week or so ago. Most of the players, some of them would, but most of them would not be whining if this was the World Cup. Right?
Proper World Cup.
You feel the heat and you feel the humidity and you feel tiredness when you're playing in a competition that you really shouldn't be playing in because it's the end of the season. That's the crux of this matter. If this was a bona fide competition, if this was the World Cup, that when you're a kid, you give your right arm to play in, you're not thinking about the heat. You're not thinking about any of that.
Your day in Mexico, Stevie, against Germany.
There you go.
Exactly. There was not one person from any team in that World Cup playing in Mexico that ever mentioned in press conferences about how hot it was and how tough it is playing at 2 o'clock. Nobody mentioned it. It was all football. It was all about why they lost, why they won. Nothing to do with the weather at all. And that's, again, because it's not a proper World Cup.
Chelsea, of course, through to the final thanks to 2 goals from Joao Pedro, their latest signing in the semi-finals. Stevie, we haven't spoken to you properly about Joao Pedro since he did this, of course.
I think it's a fantastic signing.
Really?
I actually was hoping that maybe Liverpool might try and sign him, obviously before the whole Verts thing came around, because I think he kind of reminds me of Bobby Firmino a little bit. He's more athletic than Bobby Firmino, but he'll score goals. and he'll absolutely connect things in the middle of the park, and he'll connect things in and around the box as well. I think he's a fantastic.
So you think he's a midfield player rather than a centre forward?
No, I think he's a Bobby Firmino. I think that's what he is. And watching this Chelsea team without Jackson up front, with Joao Pedro up front, I thought they looked a completely different team. I thought they looked way better going forward. I thought they looked exciting. I mean, I think Joao Pedro's a great player.
So he starts before Delap?
Yes.
But correct me if I'm wrong, didn't at times Joao Pedro last year play in the team when Welbeck was playing?
Yeah.
And then he would have a bit more of a freer role.
He could go in the number 10, he could go from a slightly wide... When they played 3 up front, he played on the left-hand side of the main centre forward, and he played sort of inside left, I think we'd have called it years ago.
That's why I said he's more
athletic. So he can play as though that holding... Not holding midfield,
so he
attacking
could,
midfield.
He could do what's on the graphic, or he could...
The front four, he could play in any.
Or he could put Rory Delap, I'm sure my age. My old teammate. He could put... what's his name?
Liam
Delap. He could put Liam Delap up front and move Cole Palmer and put Joao Pedro behind him or in a wider position, and it just gives you, I would say, gives you more physicality. I suppose he does a little bit, Liam Delap, but Joao Pedro's
and that's why they might
very
be
physical as well.
Madueke to go to Arsenal, because they can see Joao Pedro can do 2 jobs.
So it's Nico Jackson third on the list now?
Absolutely.
So. Yeah. Listen, he would have had to have kept his it has to be said, he's very good early season form of last year, where he was excellent. Not just his goals, but his link-up play, his movement, his running off the ball. Everything was great for 5 months, and then it just fell away. And I think we saw the real Nico Jackson in the second half of the season. I think that's more of a sample size of what
and he might not get a chance to prove that he's better than the 2 that are already in there. So that's the problem when you're the third choice. You know, how do you get your chances? How do you prove that you're still a good player?
Nico Jackson, of course, suspended for this tournament after that red card. Just a reminder, Chelsea against PSG then will be live on DAZN on Sunday. Kick-off in New Jersey at 3 p.m. Eastern.
It'll be hot.
It will be.